Hey, welcome. My name is Marcel. I am the Canadian journalist, Ernie Racy News, and today, November 23rd, 2024, we're talking about the most devastating moment in history, the brink of a nuclear conflict, guys. It has never been this serious, and I'm going to give you the details to make you understand how bad this is for the world, a nuclear conflict. There was the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty in the 80s, but before that, everyone was ramping up nuclear weapons. And so there was a ballistic missile created by the Russians or the Soviets called the Skorost. And this was to combat the two-stage missile, the Persian. So they made this new technology back in the 80s, 90s for the Skorost to combat the Persian missile response. Then the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty was brought in, and all technology was then halted in designing these nuclear weapons and these nuclear response systems through intermediate ballistic missile responses, meaning they can attack from afar. There was the time back in the day when the leaders talked. The Soviets talked to the US and vice versa. Now, nothing. The Biden does not call, Sleepy Joe is not doing anything, actually. He's just the puppet. But the neocons, the Blinkens, whoever's making these decisions, they're not discussing nothing. They're moving forward with their agenda about instigating a war. Now there's 2 months left with Trump to take over. And so they're on a clock. They have a 2-month clock to fast track everything to instigate this war so deep that Trump can't get out of the hole. That's what it certainly looks like. When the USA withdraws from the INFC, Putin said, the INFC is very important to prevent war, so he will not develop any intermediate systems. So even though the U.S. withdrew from the treaty, Putin says we're still going to hold off. We're still going to believe that we don't need to develop nuclear weapons so long as NATO doesn't deploy its intermediate systems into Europe. Well, guess what? NATO deployed intermediate range missiles in Denmark. And so Putin says, okay, we will continue our program, which is essentially the byproduct of the missile tested 2 days ago. So his program restarted since the treaty was broken, and the U.S. is putting missiles in Europe with these intercontinental missile systems. And now look at where we are today. Just continuing the course of just pushing the envelope. This U.S. proxy war system continues to do this all around the world and just punch away little jabs at Russia, surrounding them with missiles against all treaties. So now we have this modern day version of the Skorost, which is building to... It's a missile that is designed to preempt the Dark Eagle, which is the USA missile system. In Russia now, after demonstrating the missile in Ukraine to quite effectiveness, they've just put Poland's NATO base on notice, the Mark 41 agents. So now they've literally said, this NATO missile base in Poland is our next target. So that I'm putting on alert. If you guys do one more missile at us with these intercontinental ballistic style missiles, US firing missiles into the heart of Russia, NATO base will be gone. And it's a guarantee. There's no bluff about whether they can do it or not. The test they did in Ukraine just absolutely showed that we can fire a missile at hypersonic speeds, Mach 10, which the US can't even intercept. And it's a multi-stage missile too. So first it fires up, then it's traveling along, and then each individual warhead is its own missile. And this is where the new technology is taking over. And it's essentially the biggest, most useful missile in the world right now. Developed from the original Skorost design.
Democrats are rising to meet the moment, rallying the world on the side of peace and security. We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III, okay?
And they know it's called the SES booster because the remains, the actual canisters that hit the Ukraine's weapons facility and destroyed it have the serial numbers of this SAR booster, which is the most modern booster ever that Russians have. And it burns it at variable speeds. It's impossible to target. It can speed up, slow down, right up to Mach 10. And the new system has independent mini missiles on the 6 warheads. So that's why when you saw the video footage, I'll overlay it now, it's like doo, 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 you know, coming in through the clouds, which didn't make sense at first. It's like, did they shoot 6 missiles? No, that's just the one hazelnut independently firing its missile targets, which are nuclear capable at the weapons facility in Ukraine, the manufacturing facility, completely annihilating it. So stage 1 of this new missile, of the booster, it takes it up. And then stage 2, it takes it to the area up at Mach 10 or less at variable speeds. And then stage 3, where it fires the independent missiles, the sub-ammunition, and it's termed hazel because it's like a hazel tree with all the hazelnuts, and it's just like, it can just boom, 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 shoots all of the hazelnuts independently. And, you know, so where is the big explosion when we see there's no big explosion, which is I first thought as well. They just seem like little missiles. They're not designed to be a big payload. It's designed to be accurate and to essentially hazel out and destroy all sections of, say, the eagle nest of a U.S. missile defense base or provoking missile base. It's designed, it's got to take out the radio tower, it's got to take out this building, this building, this building, this building. That's why there's 6. And this missile is specifically designed to take out the Eagle's missile system facility of the USA, NATO. Like, this is it. This missile is a perfect weapon that the USA does not have any technology whatsoever. I mean, look at the woke leaders of the military in the USA. You have guys dressed up as women leading the way. I mean, I could find a picture of that if I could throw it in. So it's not meant to be a high explosive. It's designed to take out the Dark Eagle arrays, right? With the sub ammunitions come down. You know, so what happened is Putin just put notice. He put everyone on notice at NATO that he has the modern missile system designed to preempt anything NATO plans on doing to Russia. He can preemptively do anything and take them all out. USA has nothing to combat this. There is no NATO response to this missile. This is the Alpha Wolf weapon. I'm just reading from my notes here, guys, so I don't forget anything. Putin said that your withdrawal, the U.S. withdrawing from the IMF treaty was the biggest mistake NATO ever made. U.S., the Biden administration, 2019, this was the biggest mistake you ever made, is withdrawing from the treaty. You compelled us to be here, right? This is all happening by byproduct of the neocons. Checkmate. It's over. The only thing the U.S. can do is a nuclear war. And where does that get us? How many American lives is the Biden neocon deep state willing to sacrifice? How many American lives are they willing to sacrifice for Ukraine? For their military-industrial complex, money-making Ukraine, right? It's not about the Ukrainian people whatsoever.
Russian accusations are absurd. They're laughable. And, you know, in the words of my Irish Catholic grandfather, a bunch of malarkey. There's nothing to it. It's classic Russian propaganda. And I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't give it a drop of ink worth paying attention to.
Yeah, but can you explain to us has there been any relationship between the?
We are not developing biological or chemical weapons inside Ukraine. It's not happening.
Well, I only have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
How many people are they going to sacrifice? How many of you are they going to sacrifice in LA, in Washington, in Chicago, Washington, D.C., I should say? All these woke states where the military targets are set up, all the military targets that are surrounding Europe, all the military NATO bases in Europe will be the first to go. So sadly, we have an American administration that believes we can have a nuclear exchange. A nuclear exchange! How insane! The neocons are ready to sacrifice 100 million Americans for this Ukraine military-industrial complex. This is as real as it gets. What is their next move? What is the USA's next move? What is NATO's next move, guys? What will they do to make a nuclear conflict, to make it impossible for Trump to get out of the military-industrial complex machine, the war machine, the warmongering machine? How far will they take it? How many are they going to put us, how much are they going to put all American, and I'm Canadian, lives at risk? All the bases, all the peoples in the bases at risk. Poland's on notice next, guys. It is a checkmate. So what is the Biden neocons going to do when they're in checkmate? This is the Canadian Journalist. Make sure you share this to your friends so they understand the seriousness. This is the most serious it's ever been since the actual atomic bombs landed in Japan. Thanks for watching.